When you hear the word vulnerability, what comes to mind? Perhaps it's an image of a defeat, a moment of weakness, something we are taught to avoid at all costs. We live in a society that praises strength, certainty, and invulnerability. From the superheroes of our childhood to the stoic leaders in business and politics, we are inundated with messages that vulnerability is equivalent to weakness. But why if I told you that this common perception is not only slightly misguided, but profoundly wrong? What is if I show you that vulnerability, rather than a source of weakness, is actually a source of immense strength? I stand before you today as a runner guide, and as a witness of the transformative power of vulnerability, of the idea that if we open our hearts, of the beauty of opening our hearts to the idea that vulnerability, it's not a flaw. If you know me, you know I love running. I have been doing it for 25 years. My first half marathon was in 1998 in Bogota, Colombia, my hometown. For me, it is a celebration every time I lace my shoes, no matter if it's for an easy run, a short run, or a long run, no matter if it's solo or with friends or my husband. I am that kind of person that you see posting on Instagram the runnings smiling. I can count 10 marathons, more than 30 half marathons, 4 half Ironmans, and many, many miles under my belt. For me, it goes beyond the physical aspect. It expands my mental willpower. I am at my best when I'm running. It was supposed to be, but okay. I am at my best when I'm running. At some point, I became a guide with Achilles International, an organization that works with athletes with disabilities. So I can combine my runs with runs which I can guide visually impaired athletes. Achilles gives people living with low vision or blindness a community of people that understand and are willing to accommodate with one shared interest, running, whether it's closer to walking or in a wheelchair or sprinting a 7-minute mile. Last year, I was having a perfect year of running. I sang, and I had a lot of plans. I sang for an ultra marathon that is 50 miles in October, and I was helping a visually impaired friend training for his marathon. I was feeling very strong, on top of the world. But of course, then, fate intervened. Last summer, my heart faced an adversary it could not run, a virus that inflamed its core, known as acute myocarditis. Suddenly, I was stripped from my ability to run, to feel my own pulse. With vulnerability settled in like an unwelcome guest, and I found myself grappling with the profound sense of uncertainty that permeated every moment. No longer I can rely on the strength that always defined me. Instead, I was forced to confront my own fragility head on. As I started my recovery, the journey started very slow. The journey was feeling very slow. Doctors advised me to start walking to begin with gentle walks. Each step was a reminder of how things had changed. With vulnerability, came a fear that was very palpable, a real risk of sudden death looming over me. I was told to start adding a little bit of speed and a little bit of distance. I had to work towards the hope of preventing permanent scars remain in the heart that preventing me running again. Sorry. During this time, the necessity to be in a safe space emotionally and physically became clear. So mid-journey my recovery, I decided to go back to Achilles and do some easy runs with them. Because Achilles, they have taught me that the greatest thing about its camaraderie is to be in a place where people is willing to understand. A lot of the experiences in the disability world is having to deal with the hurdles and challenges to accommodate yourself, to others accommodate to you. Here, you have an environment where athletes with disabilities can be active without needing to adjust themselves, needing to change how they are. So this was a perfect space for me to recover and to be vulnerable. One day, they asked for guides for the Marine Corps 10K race. And I immediately said yes. I signed in to guide someone at a 9:30 minute mile pace, so I was very excited. I was back at racing, and I was doing it with an Achilles athlete, so I felt ready. The night before the race, I was due to meet my athlete, my pair athlete. He was with the New York chapter, not with the DC chapter, so I didn't know him beforehand. I have to confess that I was very surprised when I met Matthew. He was not the usual visually impaired athlete. He was a teenager with severe autism. His world was a kaleidoscope of emotions, sensations, and uncertainty. I knew that trust had to be built swiftly, like building a bridge mid-race. I was very nervous when the sun started to rise in the 10K race start line. His father left us, and I can see that Matthew was more anxious than me, I think. The music was too loud. There were a lot of people around us. It was not an easy start. My confidence as a guide was being tested. There I was, not only having to get to run again and to learn how to run again, but now I had to understand and adjust my ability to guide. But there it was, like a silent pact, not in our eyes, but in our shared breath, in our common steps. We weren't just running, we were waving through the crowds, like our hearts beating at unison. At least that's how I felt. The usual guided runs with Agility International was with blind individuals. So my role was very clear. I had to explain the path, give some cues, be their eyes. This was different. It was it was like a dance of empathy, a symphony of patience. When frustration threatened to halt us mid-course and Matti decided to stop, I started to fear. But I whispered, "We are in this together." He didn't respond. His response wasn't verbal. But we started running again. It echoed in every stride. We navigated his feeling, the sensory overload, the urge to stop, the fear of the unknown, and which step our vulnerability transformed into strength. We both were willing to open and to share our fears. This athlete, Matthew, taught me to always be open, to listen not just with my ears, but with my entire being, to understand that communication isn't always verbal. Sometimes it's a shared silence, a glance, a slightly touch. My athlete didn't need my eyes. He needed my presence. And so we run, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always together. He taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's a strength. It's the courage to step into the unknown, embrace discomfort, and connect heart to heart. As we cross the finish line, I realized that my heart, once inflamed by a virus, was found its rhythm again, but not in the pounding of blood, but in the rhythm of compassion, resilience, and acceptance. Openness invites connection, and chances take lead to beauty beyond measured. So, my dear friends, as you lace up your sneakers and step onto the track of life, remember this: be open to be vulnerable. Be open to the unexpected, to the challenges that stretch you, and to the people who cross your path. It's in vulnerability that we discover our true strength, our shared humanity, and the beauty of running side by side, regardless of the hurdles we face. I invite you to embrace the unexpected. And remember, sometimes the most extraordinary races are the ones we run alongside others that are different from us. Thank you very much.